All right, everyone. Good evening. For the duration of the coronavirus health emergency, Village Hall is closed to the public, and meetings are held with participants at remote locations connecting to conferencing software provided by Zoom.us. Members of the public are invited to view meetings live using the Zoom client, which also allows them to raise a hand and contribute with voice and video when they're invited to do so during public portions of the meeting. So what that means is when your application is called, you'll be invited into the room by Dylan. Same with public comments and questions. I will call for them and then you'll be invited into the room. If you are going to provide testimony this evening, you must do so using video. So please make sure that you have that capability before you attempt to testify. Okay, we will call the meeting to order and recite the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Following is required to be read by the Open Public Meeting Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board at the Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of a schedule, including date and time of this meeting. Please note that a curfew of 11 p.m. is strictly adhered to by the zoning board. No new matter involving an applicant will be started after 10:30 p.m. At 10 p.m., we will make a determination and advise applicants as to whether or not they will be heard. If an applicant cannot be heard because of the lateness of the hour, the matter will be carried over to a future meeting to be determined by the board at 10 p.m. Roll call, please.
Sergio Allegra.
Here.
Greg Brown.
Here.
Gary Negritz.
Here.
Diana Rule.
Here.
John Pepetro.
Here.
Isaac Lebo.
Here.
Matthew Bandelt.
Here.
Dan Perlman.
Here.
Michael Pickles. Okay.
All right. Next, we need to approve the minutes of February 9th, 2021 and February 23rd, 2021. Someone please make a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
And do we have a second?
Second.
That was Matthew and Greg.
Okay.
All right, great.
All right. Greg Brown.
Yes.
Gary Negritz.
Yes.
Diana Rule.
Yes.
John Pepetro.
Yes.
Isaac Lebo.
Yes.
Matthew Bandelt.
Yes.
Great. So now non-agenda items. Are there any board members who'd like to make comments on matters not on the agenda this evening? So I have one, and it's a question for Bruce. We've noticed for Zoom meetings through June, and now that people are getting vaccinated and so forth, and since you're so tied into Bergen County land use and boards, have you heard anything about boards trying to open up, in the spring?
I've heard about it only in discussion. Nobody that has done it yet, other than I understand a couple of towns in the southern part of the county have done it because they had some, they weren't satisfied with the Zoom meetings that they were doing. So they've opened up. But I've also heard discussions that people that don't feel comfortable in going to a live meeting will still have the right to have the meeting via Zoom. So if a board determines to go back to a regular meeting in a room, there may also be a requirement that you have to offer Zoom at the same time. And I've been to one of those meetings, and it's really tough when you're talking to people at the podium as well as people on the screen.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. And has anybody thought about or discussed the possibility of alternating meetings so that, we have 2 a month, we could do one Zoom for those who are uncomfortable coming live, and then we could do a live meeting.
No, you'd never know who'd be uncomfortable going live because it could be a member of the public
That's a very good point.
for a hearing.
All right.
So my suggestion is we should just run to June. They're not going to stop Zoom meetings. That's the one thing I've been told.
Right.
There'll be no prohibition.
So thanks, Bruce. Hearing that, any board members have any thoughts as to whether or not we should just, continue, which we've noticed through the end of June, or anybody feel we should, consider at least starting up earlier?
I think we should start up earlier. I think that, this is fine if you want to discuss mathematical equations. We're talking about reading people and trying to get through the raw language to the heart of the issue. And I think it's difficult on a screen. I just think a meeting like this live is more informative and hopefully would result in better decisions. Not that the decisions have been bad. I think it's a way to ensure the quality. My
Thanks,
opinion.
Gary. Anyone else?
I think
Yeah,
we
Mr.
should.
Chairman,
Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, I would prefer live meetings too. That open contact and communication is a little easier. I'm not adverse to the Zoom, but taking what Bruce said, I think the fly in the ointment, Bruce, is if a person wishes to make a comment, we won't know whether they are comfortable or not with Zoom or in person until the night of. Is that the issue?
You're gonna have to have Zoom on in a live meeting. You're gonna have to have the screen working there so that you ask a question. Is there any member of the public that has a question? If not, then you go to Zoom. Any member of the Zoom on Zoom have a question.
And Bruce, I just want to ask a follow-up. I assume the applicant would also be able to present via Zoom as well if they don't.
There are
Is that
applicants that
correct?
are saying,
Yeah.
if we
Okay.
go back to live, they still want Zoom. That's right.
Thank you.
And my recommendation would be it's not going to be done until the Village of Ridgewood says it's permissible.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I was just
And
going to
the
ask.
reason I brought it up is just because I think that things are going to start opening up as soon as the weather turns and more people get vaccinated. There may be a rush to open things up. And I thought maybe we could have that discussion before that rush happens.
Good idea.
Isaac,
I think we have to wait for the village to give us guidance. Like, how many people will they allow in that room? Right?
Yeah.
There's between us, there's 10, 11. And then if we have the professionals, 12, 13, and then people, we could just be, are they going to allow 30 people in Village Hall?
No, I
No idea.
agree that the village is going to be driving the bus, but remember, they didn't come and consult us when they shut it down. So I can see them opening it up and then just, we're supposed to know. And maybe they haven't taken those things into consideration.
So that you are aware, I've been at a live meeting where there was only a limited number of people that could be in the room. So the way the board ran it is only one applicant at a time in the room. And when that applicant was done, they left the room. And then they called the next applicant from the group on cell out in the parking lot. And then they came in. There were 3 applications that night. None of them were very complicated. 11:15.
Did they have to wear masks?
Yes.
Forget it. I would not be able to hear anybody wearing a mask sitting at a
Oh, right. In
meeting.
our room? Yeah, you're right.
That's true.
Well, not if you're vaccinated anymore. You can be next to somebody without your mask. How many of us, has anybody been vaccinated? Bruce?
I have got the first shot.
I got both.
Yeah, I got both as well.
I'm fully vaccinated as well.
You guys can all sit in one corner together.
Mm.
It's just that if you think about it, a 6 foot spacing works out to 36 square feet to one person. And I think that room we have, that courtroom, is pretty close to 1,000 square feet.
Let's wait till the end of June at least and let's see where we're
Just
going.
saying,
You're applying logic to something that might have no logic to
Yeah.
it. So,
well, I did have a conversation about it with Heather,
yeah.
and they were
Put it this
working
way.
on various layouts, okay, in order to facilitate like board meetings and the
Yeah,
rest
I
of it.
guess that's the other question, which is when you think about that, Jane, there are 10 of us. Are there you can't, there's no way we're fitting 10 people 6 feet apart. How many different locations can we have mics?
In that visible meeting that I went to, the regular meeting that I went to, board members sat in the audience 6 feet apart.
Yeah.
And the
How
problem
were they heard?
Recommendations
Bruce?
for Village Hall. Yeah.
How were they heard, Bruce? They weren't on mics? or
they'd
did
have
they
to go back to a microphone. That's what I'm saying. It was 11:15, 3 easy applications.
I only have 4 portable mics in that room.
Yeah.
Right, but we've already got, I think, 3 of us, maybe more, who are, I think 4 are going to be fully vaccinated. So, what if we've got most of us fully vaccinated? Anyway, I don't want to take the whole meeting up, but I just thought it would be useful to kind of plant the seed and think about it. We don't need to do anything because we've noticed until June 30th, but something to think about.
I would just suggest we think about what we would like to see in order to make it work, taking into account things like what Bruce said. All right, maybe we need to go invest in a boom mic so that you don't need mics all over. There's things that we could think about, because I know what's going to happen. The council one day is going to, in their infinite wisdom, say, we're going with live meetings. And then if we don't have something in our minds, they'll just tell us what it is, and it may not work.
Well, I'll tell you that in the other town, and it will happen here, because of liability aspect, the governing body and the village clerk or administrator, they will set the standards of how all meetings will be conducted. That's what they did in the other one. Because it's the other meeting I was in the seats were all in the room, but they had yellow tape, the crime tape they had around seats you could not sit in.
Right.
That's how they did it, and they left
But
it.
even if they decided they were going to do this tomorrow, everybody, we're talking about, we wouldn't get in there for a month or longer with applicants having to renotice, right?
That's right. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and you've got your notice out till June, so why muddy the waters?
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thought was that we might start getting pressure. We might start getting pressure, whether it's applicants or the council, to say, we've got the ability to open up. But all right, so that was just kind of a teaser, nothing decided. But all right, so why don't we move on and ask if the public has any comments not on the agenda this evening. Now is the time, please raise your hand. Dylan will let you in if you would like to make a comment on a matter not on the agenda.
And if you're on phone, press *9 to raise your hand. I am showing none.
Okay, great. All right, if anyone is here, this is an announcement. If anyone is here on the trip matter, 33 Bryden Place, block 1905, that is being carried. Jane, do we have a new date on that?
March 23.
March 23rd, yeah.
So trip being carried to March 23rd, 7:30 p.m. via Zoom, no additional notice required. All right, so now we move on to old business. This is Kanandi Yanaje, an application to permit the construction of a 2-story rear addition and new above grade patio, which will result in a side yard setback of 5.6 feet, where 10 feet is required, coverage by above grade structures of 26.2%, and coverage by above grade structures within 140 feet of the front lot line of 25.5%, where 25 is permitted at 109 Hope Street, block 4002, lot 25 in an R3 zone. This is being carried from February 9th, 2021.
And John Musinski.
John, where do I see? Oh, here he is. Okay, they just need to unmute, and John needs to bring up his video. All right, you good?
Okay, I'm here. Okay.
Mr. Buzinski, you are still under oath from the last meeting,
Yes, okay.
and it's my understanding we're working with new plans with a final revision date of 2/18/21.
Correct.
Okay, please proceed.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen. Does everybody see it?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. So we were at the meeting on February 9th. It was actually a month ago this evening. We heard all the comments from the board. We went back, I guess, to the drawing board, as you might say, and we revised the plans drastically to reduce mainly the size of the massing of the addition that we were attempting to get approval on at the last meeting. So since then, we've updated the plans as you have in front of you. You'll see them that we've gone from 5 variances down to 3. And I'm just showing in this chart here, the previous in the red, we were asking for a building height variance. We were over the 30-foot maximum height, a side yard setback variance, an above grade structure variance, above grade structure within 140 feet, and a maximum gross building area within 140 feet. So the new plans, we've eliminated the building height variance, so we no longer need that. The side yard variance still stands, although we stepped back the second story addition. So it's actually 2 feet further from the property line at the second floor line. The maximum above grade structure and the above grade structure within 140 feet, we need a variance for both of those, but what we've done is we've reduced it to a point where we're actually below, right here, the 26.9 and 25.5. Those are pre-existing non-conforming coverages. So we've actually got the numbers down below that, which is shown in yellow here. And the maximum gross building area of within 140 feet, we've eliminated that variance. We're now below the 35-foot maximum. Whoops. Let me get out of here so I can zoom in a little bit. So this is the new proposal that we have here, which you don't see the previous proposal on here, but we've come in a bit from the rear, like I said, quite a bit, and on the side on the second floor we stepped it in about 2 feet. That's what this line represents here. We've moved the portico around back, so we have access from the driveway side and from which is actually an on-grade patio. It's not above grade, out back here. And this is a small 1-story addition here. Let's see. The first variance that we eliminated was the building height. The previous submittal, we were actually bringing the building height, or the proposed height, up to about this point here. It was actually jogging up a bit and coming back down. This dashed line right here represents the 30-foot maximum height. So as you can see, we're below it by about maybe 2 feet. I think just about 2 feet. We're at 28 feet or so for the new building height, which is represented. You can see the roof shingles shaded in here. This is the addition basically. So everything's below that dashed line on the back of the building and the sides, as you can see. Let's go to the plans. So on the plans, like I said, we minimized the addition, so we made it smaller. I guess one of the concerns at the last meeting was the master bedroom seemed a little bit oversized. So we decreased that in both directions, and we actually set it back in so we can get further away from the side yard setback. And we totally eliminated the attic space that we had on the previous design, which led to us helping us actually go over the gross building area. So we no longer need that variance. That's all been eliminated. So this is just a roof now. There's no building structure there. Let's see. I guess other than that, that pretty much wraps it up as far as the changes go from the previous design. So now we're looking to, like I mentioned, get basically the three variances, which are right here. I mean, the side yard setback, and as you can see, as I zoom in, you'll see it a little better now. We're pretty much under here. You can see the 26.2, but we're still over, but it's like less than, I think it's 1% or something over. And these are now no longer needed. And that's it.
All right, great. Thank you very much. Appreciate the work done. And I'd like to open up to board members for questions.
I guess the real question is, you're asking for a C variance. And I don't know what the issue is.
Well, the issue right now is that we have an undersized lot and the existing, go to the survey, the existing house, the way it's situated on the property is up against the side yard setback. We have a garage back here, although there's not a driveway here. We're kind of limited as far as, I mean, we pretty much, as you can see right here, the portico that we're proposing is pretty much in line with the curb line. So to get a car back here, if need be, at some point, we really don't want to have to come across back here to prevent that, or from somebody having a garage in the backyard, because that's the only place you could have a garage here. Even if it was rebuilt and brought forward, it would have to be back here. So yeah, as you can see, in the side yard setback is actually skewed off, not parallel to the front, to the existing house, rather. The existing side yard setback property line is not parallel to the existing side of the house. So basically, the lot is 7,784 square feet, where 8,400 is required, and the width is 50 feet, where 60 is required, which is creating a hardship for us to basically do what we want to do and have the family room here and enough width inside the house, as far as going from.
Yeah, it seems like it's a C1A. I mean, it falls under that classification, the narrowness of the lot.
They have a C1 also as it pertains to the C1C, the lawfully existing structure. Its location and it's skewed.
I don't think the question is about the house is where it is. The side yard setback is what it is. I guess they're already oversized, and now, while they've taken a few feet off, they're still oversized. And that's really the question. I mean, yeah, somebody parked the house too close to one edge, probably before there was a rule. Well, I don't see that as an issue. I'm just saying, you got a lot that's a couple of 100 feet short, and yet we're looking at being over by
37 square
more
feet.
than the lot is short.
We're over by 37 square feet.
No, you're over by
62 square feet. So you're talking about for the 25%.
mhm.
Well, yes, it's what is that, 81? No. Right, it's under 100 square feet. This number 1946 versus the 2037. Now I was looking at these numbers. Which is only 37, but this is actually, you're right, it's a little more. Right.
If I may step in here, I guess I just want to give some feedback from my point of view. I think you guys did a pretty good job cutting back. I mean, my biggest concern was the massing. I think that was exactly what my issue was it was just too much on the lot at the time. And the way it looked going from the front of the house all the way back was, it just seemed like a big wall. And I think in the fact that the roof was almost 34 feet added to that massing. And I think by reducing it to under 30 feet by a lot, usually people will go like 29.9 or just right at 30, just so that they can say it's not a variance. You guys went significantly below that. by reducing, one of the other variances, I appreciate the fact that you guys really did cut back. You made some significant changes to the original floor plan. I don't really have as much a problem with the fact that you're over on one, but that's just my opinion.
Thank you.
Thanks, Isaac. Anyone else?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I recognize that the same effort there. My concern was also the overall mass. And I'm looking at these numbers now, and as the architect has said, 5 variances down to 3, but of the 3, 1 is the pre-existing that's not going to be exacerbated. That's that side yard setback where it's close on the left side. Is that correct, Mr. Mazinski? You're not going to change that at all? It's going to stay 6.12 and 5.6?
Well, it's actually the existing 6.12, but we're going down to 5.6 because of the power. It's not parallel to the property line. We're lining it up with the house here. I don't know if you can see that right here, but it gets about 5 inches less, 6 inches less, I guess.
Okay, all right.
So,
And the other 2 now, the gross to the maximum above grade structure and the same thing in 140 feet, they are only 0.5 more in the 140 foot distance, and you're asking for a little over 1% on the maximum above grade structures. And that's down from what it was before, substantially larger.
right.
Yes, okay. I think you've done a fine job with the applicant, focusing on our recommendation. So it's very nicely presented. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any other board members before I open it up to the public? All right. Are there any members of the public who'd like to ask questions? Now is the time. Raise your hand. Dylan will let you in.
I have 2. Hold on 1 second. I'm just gonna take off screen sharing. All right. First person is Patricia Ulrich.
Yes.
Please unmute, and you can turn on your video too.
You have to turn on your video. I don't know how. Talk. Hi, can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Sarah and Stefan's neighbor. I'm the north neighbor, and we have seen the plans, and we don't have any issues with this plan at all. We're totally happy with it. So we have we're happy to see it go through for them.
All right, thank you. So no questions for the applicant or the architect, just that comment. Yes.
All right.
All right. Does anyone want to make any? Have any questions to ask at this time?
I have one more person named Tommy. Hold on.
Hi, how you doing?
Good evening. Do you want to ask a question?
No, I just have a comment in support of them. I'm their neighbor right across the street at 108.
All right, hang on 1 second. Mr. Mazinski, do you have any additional testimony? If not, we can get these 2 comments on the record and close the hearing.
No, I do not have any.
All right, great. So I see you as Tommy. If you want to make a comment, could you please turn on your camera, and then we could have you sworn in and you can make your comment.
Yeah, hold on, I'm looking for the camera.
Bottom left-hand corner.
I don't see it real quick. Sorry about that. Sadly, I'm a teacher and I should know this.
Hold on. Let me try this. Do you see it now?
Yes, hold on. There we go.
All right, good
Thank
evening.
you.
So, Jane, Bruce dropped off, right?
Jane, you're muted.
Yeah, he seems to be gone.
All right. So in order to make a comment, you're going to have to get sworn in. So if you could raise your right hand.
Sure.
We'll swear you in, but then I'm gonna need your name and your address. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, can we have your first and last name and your address, please?
Sure. Thomas, Thomas, Perrone, Perrone, 108 Hope Street.
All right, in Ridgewood. Okay, great. So please feel free to make your comment.
Sure. I mean, I've known Stefan and Sarah now for about 5 years since we moved here. I know they're a young couple trying to stay in the town and trying to improve their home. Living right across the street, I really don't see that much of a difference in terms of the plans. I know some of it doesn't meet the specifications, but like I said, living right across the street, I really don't think it would be an issue. And quite honestly, I think it would be a benefit to the neighborhood. I mean, it's got us thinking about improvements to our house. So, you know, I think it definitely would be a good thing for the neighborhood and the community.
Great, thank you very much. That
Thanks.
is helpful. And Dylan, do we have anyone else?
Do you want to do Patricia's as well, her comment, or
You know, it's probably.
she's still on and you can swear her in?
Yep.
There she is.
Hi.
Hello, do you mind doing this again so that we could get your comment on the record with you sworn in?
No, not at all.
All right, so please raise your right hand.
I can't see.
Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth and the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yep. Yes.
And could you just spell your first and last name and give us your address, please?
ULLRICH. I live at 105 Hope Street.
All right,
Ridgewood.
thank you very much. Do you mind repeating your comment?
We're totally fine with Sarah and Stefan doing their addition. We're happy for them. It's not an issue for our home and the way our home looks right now. So it'll be fine. We're happy for them.
All right, thank you very much. All right, so no one else, right, Dylan?
We have 3 more. Hold on.
Oh, 3 more.
Yep. Let me just bring Patricia out and then I will bring in the next person. Next person is Denise. I can't see her last name at this particular second. Here she comes. Denise DeAngelis. Please unmute and please turn on your video.
Hi, my name is
Hi,
Denise
good evening.
DeAngelis. Hi.
Is this going to be a question or a comment?
Comment.
All right, so please raise your right hand. You swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Can you please spell your name and give us your address?
Sure. My name is Denise DeAngelis, DENISE, DeAngelis, DeAngelis. I'm at 117 Hope Street, 2 doors down from Stefan and Sarah. I've known them for a few years now. They're a wonderful couple. They have a beautiful family. I was on the last meeting. I saw the original plans and I was just following along with these plans. I've seen how much work they put into, you know, reducing the overages that the issues that they had last time. And I think it's going to be beautiful. I'm really excited to have, you know, the work that they're going to do on the house. I think it's going to improve the neighborhood, and I wish them lots of luck. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing too. Just to, you know, the work that you do for the town. Thank you for all your efforts.
Well, thank you very much.
Okay.
And we've got, who's next?
Next is Matthew. He's coming in. Matthew Nielsen.
Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Is this a question or a comment?
Comment.
All right. Can you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you please spell your name and give us your address?
Sure. Matthew Nielsen, last name spelled Nielsen. I'm at 113 Hope Street, directly to the south. The lot directly to the south. I really echo everybody else's comments. Living right next door, I've seen the plans, followed the process, and have absolutely no issues with what they're looking to do. I think it'd be a great addition to the home and to the neighborhood. So thank you guys for your input, for the board for their input.
All right, great. Thank you very much.
All right, one more. Juan Urbaez. Juan, please unmute and turn on your video. Thank you.
Here we go. Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Is this a question or a comment?
This is a comment.
All right, please raise your right hand. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay, could you please spell your name and give us your address?
It's Juan, last name Urbaez, and I live on 100 Hope Street.
Okay, go ahead.
So yeah, we just moved in to 100 Hope Street. We are on the northwest corner of Stefan and Sarah, and so we've seen some of the plans that they've had, and we've been in communication with them. We have a pretty clear view of the front of their property, and this is just a comment just to say that, I mean, I think the plans look great. Some of the plans that we've seen and that they shared with us, we think it looks beautiful and keeping in basically the style and the aesthetics of the neighborhood. And yeah, we're just really excited to see basically that these plans actually go through. And again, we also appreciate all the work that the board is doing. And just some comments in support of our fellow neighbors, and really hope that this comes through, because I think it looks really nice.
All right, great. Thank you very much. And is that it? Anyone else?
That was it.
All right, excellent. So, Mr. Buzinski, just to confirm, no additional testimony, we can close the hearing?
Yes, no testimony.
All right, so the hearing is now closed. And board members, entertain a motion and or deliberation.
I just actually would like to make a motion to approve as presented. They really listened to us, I think, the last time as to what our concerns were. They addressed the bulk, the side yard setback. They even put the second floor in. So I do believe that they addressed all our issues. So I'd like to make a motion to approve, undersized lot, existing location of the house. Can't move it. So, and I'm sure Bruce can add more.
Yes, I'm sure. Greg is taking good notes and he's going to give Bruce what he needs.
Make sure I do, Greg.
Yes, there he is. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That was Isaac?
Yes.
All right.
Greg Brown,
Yes.
Gary Negritz,
No.
Diana Rule,
Yes.
John Pepetro,
Yes.
Isaac Lebo,
Yes.
Matthew Bandel,
Yes.
Chairman Allegra.
Yes.
Okay.
You're approved.
Okay.
Good luck with your addition.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of your efforts sincerely, and we're really happy with our current plans.
All right, great.
Good job.
Great. Good
Have
luck.
fun.
The design better, in fact.
Yes.
All right, awesome. We'd like to hear that.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right,
Good night.
take care.
Right, bye-bye. Good night.
So Jane, do we have Blake? Who do we need on for that one?
We have, we need Jordan Rosenberg and Alex Blake.
Okay.
Alex Blake and what was the second name, Jane? Sorry.
Jordan Rosenberg.
Why don't I see him?
Hmm?
I don't see him.
He is Jordan Rosenberg, architect, it says.
Oh. It's cut off on my screen, sorry. All right, there we go.
Okay. We have Jordan?
He's coming.
All right, as you do that, I'll announce it. So now we're moving on to new business. This is the matter of Alexander Blake. It's an application to permit the construction of a second-story addition, which would result in a front yard setback of 29.3 feet where 40 feet is required, and a rear yard setback of 20.1 feet where 30 feet is required at 259 West Glen Avenue, block 1608, lot 32 in an R2 zone. Good evening, Mr. Rosenberg.
Good evening.
So we will get you sworn in, and Mr. Blake, you'll be testifying as well?
If a question comes up for the board that would require his response, then yes, but I don't have anything really for him to add.
All right, well, why don't you just get sworn in just in case? So raise your right hand, please. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I do.
And you've been, Mr. Blake, same as you, raise your right hand just in case.
Sure.
Do you swear the testimony you're about to receive, you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Could you please, for the record, give us your name and your address?
Alexander Blake. It's 259 West Glen Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey.
Okay. And Jordan, do you just in terms of your licensure, you're obviously you've been before this board many times. Anything with regards to your license that would prevent you from giving testimony this evening? You're up to date and everything?
Yes, up to date and everything.
Okay. So floor is yours.
Thank you. Thanks for having us this evening. My testimony will be pretty succinct, pretty brief, and I'm going to stick to the facts, and then let the board have opportunity to ask questions. So the home, as you know, if you had the opportunity to drive by it, is on the intersection of Glen Avenue and North Monroe Street. It's a fairly busy intersection, and it's a fairly loud intersection because it's a truck route as well. There's an existing cape on the house as it stands today. It's a one-story house with a shell with a low roof. There is living space at the second floor as it stands presently, but the living space is convoluted and broken up, and it's just very poorly laid out. So this is an opportunity to rip off the roof and do a true add a level. In the interest of the client's desires, we are doing a European style, Mediterranean contemporary. It's very sleek, very clean, as you can see by the elevations. And I think it's an appropriate contribution to Ridgewood and to the neighborhood. And I think it fits in quite nicely in the neighborhood. To speak briefly about the variances at hand, well, first, before I testify, may I just ask the board the date of the drawings that we have submitted that we are referencing? It's 10/16/20. Is that correct?
That's what I have.
Okay, very good. Just want to make sure I have the
10/16 or 10/14/20
is what I got.
The bottom right corner, the very bottom right corner of the drawing has the page number G01, and just above that is the date. What date do you have?
10/14.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
10/14.
All right. That's perfect. Okay, here we go. Bear with me. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so we are seeking 3 variances this evening. Would you like me to share my screen, or should I just testify about it verbally?
I think sharing your screen would be helpful because I have limited view on what I can see. It's easier for me to see when you're presenting it.
I'd like to do that. Thank you so much. Okay, can you see what's on my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so we're seeking 3 variances this evening. A front yard setback on North Monroe of 29.3 feet, where 40 feet is the minimum required. This is an existing non-conforming variance. We're matching the existing house that currently resides at 29.3 feet, and we're just going straight up. front yard setback, secondary front yard setback, because it's a corner lot, at West Glen Avenue of 30 feet, where 40 feet is the minimum required. Again, same condition, existing non-conformance, matching the existing footprint of the house, going straight up. And lastly, we are addressing a rear yard setback of 20.1 feet to the house, where 30 feet is the minimum required. And that is, an existing non-conformance as well. Additionally, I'd like to mention for the record that we are maximum coverage by above grade structures complies at 18.2%, 20% is required, we're good. Maximum coverage by above grade by improvements, entire lot, 39.3, we're 45%, significantly under. And gross building area, 32.3%, where 34% is the maximum allowed. So we're good there too. So special, I wanted to bring to the attention of the board, put on the record that special care and consideration was made to make sure that these bulk variances for coverage and gross building area and total lot coverage was not something into consideration. The only variances we seek tonight are the ones that we had no control over. By virtue of the fact that we have a lot that is undersized at 10,385, where 14,700 is the minimum required. And by virtue of the fact that we have a lot of unusual shape or unordinary shape, because it's a corner lot with a curve, which really is significantly skewing, cutting off a good chunk of the front of our property, which is contributing to these setback issues that we're dealing with. I'd like to also mention that I'm under maximum allowed building height, and I did that intentionally. Not only am I under maximum allowed building height, but my gutter line, the roof overhang, the roof eave overhang is somewhat depressed below the second floor ceiling in an effort to show that the house is trying to present a humble feel as it appears, rather than a house of just giant massing that would be overwhelming. And I'm doing that recognizing that the clients have requested a second floor addition. How do you do that in a way that helps to minimize the size of the bulk or the bulk and the volume? And that way to do that is to create a low roof line where where then you have maybe a tray ceiling in all the bedrooms, where it slopes up a little bit, and then you have your flat ceiling. And then what that does is it creates little dormers that pop up through the whole entire second floor, which also contributes considerably to this contemporary Mediterranean European look that they were going for anyway. So everything ties together nicely. That's really the whole testimony I have this evening. Happy to take questions from the boards, I guess.
Great. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
All right, great. I was having a little bit of technical issue before. All right, thank you, Jordan. And we'll open it up. Board members, questions?
I have a quick question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Just the roof height. On your chart, you say it's 26.2 plus or minus. So, I mean, when you say plus or minus, surveyor to confirm.
This is a wonderful question.
I'm just a little concerned. What does it mean plus or minus? Are we plus or minus 10 feet or?
So here's I'm going to give you a little quick little background, make it very quick and easy to understand. When we submitted these drawings back on November 14th,
Yep.
October 14th? October 14th.
No.
Whatever 10/14 is, okay. I'm nervous. When we submitted the drawings back on 10/14, we didn't have our average grade plane calculation done at that time. So I put plus or minus as an opportunity to seek further information from the time we submitted until this moment right now before the board. And we have since done that. And I'd like to share that as an exhibit.
That would be great. Thank you.
My pleasure. So I had, right after we submitted, I said, we wanted to get the ball rolling on the submission so we could get a place in line before the variance board. And in the meantime, I had called Chris Lintelm from Lintelm Kearns Associates, and I asked him if he could perform an average grade calculation. That's this magenta or purple dotted line, taken 15 feet around the house that I'm following with my cursor. And he performed an average grade calculation, which is right there on the right side of the screen. Unfortunately, all your faces are blocking it. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, can you, there we
got
go.
it. Average ground elevations, he took 6 points, the averaged them out, and we got an average ground elevation of 99.8. Now, he also calculated that the first floor elevation is 103.4. And I know, because it's my design, that from the first floor of 103.4 to the top of the roof is 26 feet. So if you take 26 feet, if you take 103.4 and you subtract the average grade plane of 99.8, you get 3.5 or 3.6. And then I'm desperately trying to use my calculator, but I only see your face on top of it. There we go. Give me a second. There we go. Okay. 103.4 minus 99.8 equals 3.6 feet plus 16 feet from first floor to top of ridge is, that's not right.
No.
29.6, is that correct?
Sounds right.
29.6. So we're under the maximum building height. It is higher than what was submitted. That's why the plus or minus is there, but I'm here tonight to clarify that. We have good, solid information from a licensed surveyor to confirm that we are not exceeding our 30 feet. We are at 29.6 based on the average grade calculation. Of course, the house appears shorter from one side than the other because of the topography.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other board members with questions? All right, being none, let's open it up to members of the public. If you have a question, not a comment, if you have a question about this application, now is the time to please raise your hand. Dylan will let you in and you'll be able to ask questions.
All right, we have one. Bring him in, Ying. You're muted, Yang.
We can't hear you.
We can't hear you. You're muted.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So good evening. Now is the time for questions. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't have comments.
Comment. Okay. So let me just make sure there isn't anyone else who has a question, and then we'll open up for comments. Just hang on.
Okay.
Anyone?
I'm showing no other hands raised for question.
Okay. So now we're going to open up for comments. And if you could raise your right hand, please. All right. Do you swear the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Can you give us can you spell your first and last name and then give us your address, please?
My first name is Ying, Y-I-N-G. My last name is Ding, D-I-N-G. I lived in 419 North Monroe Street.
All right, thank you. So go ahead with your testimony, with your comment.
So they explained their plan to us, and we went to their house. They explained it very well. So I think this is a very good plan, and we fully support this plan. I think this will make our neighborhood looks nice. So I support it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dylan, anyone else would like to make a comment?
I am showing no others.
All right, great. So we'll close it for comments. Mr. Rosenberg, back to you. Anything else?
Sorry, I need to take it off mute. I really have nothing further to add.
Do you want to just maybe wrap up with a sentence or two as to the justification for the variance?
Sure thing. In respect to the justifications for the variance, I'd like to reiterate that we are working with some hardships here. We have a lot of an unusual shape, a peculiar shape that's creating variances. We have a house that's a pre-existing house that is lawfully existing on the property, but exhibits a number of nonconformances relating to front yard, secondary front yard, and rear yard setback. And we have an undersized lot, which also is contributing to these 3 setback variances. I'd like to also put on the record that special care and attention has been taken to make sure that any variances that are within our control are not variances that we would need, that we are complying with everything that we could possibly comply with. We're trying to create a house that has a really pretty aesthetic appeal from the streets. And I'd also like to state on the record that Alex Blake took the liberty, believe it or not, in preparation for this improvements to his home. He took the liberty of buying 35 arborvitaes, 8 foot tall, and planted them along him and his neighbor and along the West Glen. And he had done that last year, and now they've grown in another foot or 2, and they look beautiful. And it's created such a nice bit of privacy and shielding from the street and from the neighbors.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Good job.
All right. Anything else?
Nope, that's all.
All right. So the hearing is now closed. I'll start by just a couple things. First of all, a genius move on your part, planting those arborvitaes, because even if you were to get a variance, we've seen a lot of unhappy neighbors who have, variances that they've never been made aware of, and their neighbors don't take any into consideration about what it's like to live looking at, an addition. So smart move. Secondly, Jordan and Mr. Blake, Mrs. Blake, I personally appreciate coming in, and you could have asked for more, and then we would have played the game of revise the plans, come back, and kind of end up probably where you are now. And I think as a board, we've seen a lot of that, and it happens, but it's refreshing when someone comes in with something reasonable and it's kind of a one-shot deal. So I'm in favor of the application. Well done. And I'd like to open it up to the board if anyone has any additional comments or feels otherwise. If not, we could accept a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to approve as submitted because it is a undersized corner lot by almost 4,000 feet. The pre-existing non-conforming, none of them are being exacerbated. And they have created, with their additional work, no variance requirements.
I'll second that. And also, they did a really good job with a difficult lot. That is a difficult lot. No, driven by thousands of times. And the arborvitaes between you and your neighbors will be, thank you for thinking ahead. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Looks like a beautiful project.
All right, so we've got Gary moved and Diana seconded it. Jane.
Greg Brown,
Yes.
Gary Negritz,
Yes.
Diana Rule,
Yes.
John Pepetro,
Yes.
Isaac Lebo,
Yes.
Matthew Bandel,
Yes.
Chairman Allegro.
Yes. All right, you're approved.
Thank
Good
you
luck with
so
your
much.
job.
We really appreciate it. Thank you.
No, good luck.
All right, take care.
Bye, guys.
Thank
Bye. Thank you. Good night.
Night.
Sergio?
So we've
Can I
got
just
one
ask-
more. Go ahead, Jane.
We have that discussion item, and I did notice that Mr. Anglima and Mr. Moraviev are on the Dr. Moraviev are on the line, are on there. I don't know if you want to hear that. We can keep going in order, or if you think that discussion might be quick. I'm not sure.
So what I was
No.
hoping to do, because Bruce did say he had to step out at around 8 o'clock and it wouldn't take that long. So we usually take a break and we've got, it's usually a little later than now. But why don't we take a short break to maybe we can get Bruce back on the line. And then, yeah, we can take the Moraviev matter. That shouldn't take very long. All right.
Yeah, Sergio, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, with the Moraviev matter, because I didn't, or Jane, I didn't vote on the final resolution. Do I have any input on this particular matter?
You said, yeah.
Because I'm recusing myself from, I believe, the next application, so.
Yeah, so Jonathan and I voted no on that Moraviev, so
Okay.
we're not going to participate in discussions. So, I mean,
All right, let me get
No,
out.
I think, I don't think that carries. They have a legally approved resolution to make that a two-family unit, an apartment plus a main residence. So that's done. That has nothing to do with anything. It's whether or not the interior modifications they want to make comply with that pre-existing resolution.
Yeah.
So this is a new element. All right. They're asking us to interpret what's already been written into law with the resolution.
All right, why don't we, and I don't disagree with you, it's kind of one of these interpretation type things. Why don't we maybe take, let's call it 7 minutes and get back just before 8:45, and maybe at that time Bruce will be with us and he could guide us. All right?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Hey, John,
Yes, Gary.
did you get a chance to look at the revised landscape on Concord?
I did. I did, and I sent a response to Jane about it. I was questioning the full coverage, that the porch needed to be screened year round and completely, and all the bushes that were shown, I didn't think they were not usable, but they could be included. So I haven't looked at anything since, but I just see on my listing now there's a new one that was added today.
Yeah, that's the one I was asking you about.
I haven't looked at that yet, Gary.
No, they switched it to evergreens, which is an improvement, so they'll stay green all year. The question is, do we want it to go from the house all the way to their side yard, Gary, or do you?
No, I drew a, just mentally from the sidewalk on Concord.
Yes.
I drew like a sight line. What could I see? And what it looked like to me is if you took one more of those bushes that they show now, the evergreens, and put it kind of on the corner of the new deck,
Yeah.
it pretty much killed the sight line as you're walking towards the house along Concord, which is the only angle that really counts.
Okay, then if you
All
think
right.
just, well, because I thought at least it was the right trees.
Yeah, no, and I looked at it and I wasn't sure, so I kind of drew some lines, and it looked like if you put one more right on that corner, it would be done. It just,
Yeah, no, I thought it was much better.
and the rest of it is fine. I mean, the plants he chose were great. It's just that they weren't going to do the screening.
Yeah.
They were colorful and all.
Like I said, it would be nice to have some variety of vegetation, not just a.
Well, he's got the rest of the front of the house to play with.
Yeah, or just to do, as long as they're evergreen. To me, as long as they're cover up to the top of the deck
The railing.
Railing, thank you for clarifying. I'm fine. They don't have to be 10 feet. They just have to cover that railing all year round.
Right. So that's it. I would say add one more at the corner, so that there's 5 instead of 4, and it's done.
Sounds good to me.
I missed most of that, but I'm assuming you're talking about the landscape plan?
Yes, the one you just sent out.
Okay. Okay. So
So-
one more what? One more,
Right on the corner of the deck.
okay.
And at that point, I think we've got a yes for them.
Okay, I'll let them know.
All right, so let's start making our way back. We'll call the meeting back to order. Still no Bruce, right?
No, I don't see him yet.
All right, we'll call the meeting back to order. And why don't we go ahead with we're going to, if the Sullivans are on and they're listening, just give us a couple of minutes. We're going to have a discussion on a matter that's sort of the last item on the agenda this evening, simply because they're attorney and they're on, and it shouldn't really take very long. So we'll do that now. And if you're either uncomfortable or unwilling to participate, I think it's John and myself voted no. Isaac was either recused or not there.
I was absent.
You were absent. So why don't we bring in Mr. Anglima and Dr. Moraviev, and they could, present their proposals, and we'll go from there.
All right, they're both in. They just need to unmute and turn on their cameras.
Dan, do they need to be sworn in for this if it's not an application? You might know in lieu of,
It's a
Craig
discussion.
Nabby.
I mean,
Say
it's a
again?
discussion, right? So,
Yeah, I'm just wondering if they need to be sworn in.
I mean, I didn't even know if they were going to be here, but if they're here and can explain better what it is that's.
So, and I know Bruce isn't here. I have a question though, because there are 7 voting members there tonight. I'm not sure, Sergio, Mr. Chairman, when you say if anybody feels uncomfortable, I'm not sure what that means with respect to any potential voting, or is this just a discussion?
I think it's just Sergio, correct me if I'm wrong, but this is just a discussion at this point in time to give them some clarity on what we're thinking. If anything needs to change or there be any voting that needed to be happen, they'd have to notice and come back.
Right, if there was something different to what we approved.
Yes, exactly. Yep. So this is just a discussion. I don't think they need to be sworn in either based on that, but I certainly could be wrong.
Mr. Anglima, are you on?
Be not.
I unmuted him, but I don't hear him. Mr. Anglima, can you hear us? Oh, it says he's connecting to audio right now. He might be hooking up his microphone.
Okay.
Mr. Anglima? I'm not hearing him.
Mr. Moraviev, are you able to text him or see if we can get him on the line? If not, we're going to move on, and then we could, come back to this after the next application.
I will try to reach out to him right now.
Okay. Okay. So Mr. Anglima's on the phone.
No.
So how do we get him in?
I think he's asking, can you unmute him? He's trying to.
He's here.
Yeah, I just brought him in. I just saw his text message. He has to unmute himself. He should hit *6, I believe. There you go. Can you hear us, Mr. Anglima?
Yes, I'm sorry about that. I
There you
thought that I had been connected originally. Can you all hear me okay now?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I apologize. Robert Anglima Jr., for the record, representing Dr. and Mrs. Moraviev. I had submitted to the board 2 different alternate floor plans for the proposed apartment, the second dwelling unit that was approved by the board. Can you hear me?
Yep.
And I hope that Ms. Wondergem was able to circulate them for your review before tonight's meeting. The reason for this request, and this is only a discussion item, we don't intend for this to become a public hearing or for there to be any formal action taken by the board, but out of an abundance of caution, we are trying to find out if there are any objections to the slight alterations that are reflected on the two alternate plans. Both of them continue to propose the use of, I believe it's approximately 900 square feet of the former office suite as a two-bedroom second dwelling unit or apartment to be used as a separate dwelling from the main house, the structure that's located more or less to the north and west of the office suite. The two alternate plans depict slightly different locations for the bedrooms from the plan that had been submitted to the board originally. And they also propose to move a door that currently exits the office suite along its rear or east wall, farther to the north along the same wall. But in all other respects, the plans are nearly identical to the plan that was submitted to the board at the time of the application. So based on the submission of those two alternate plans, we are soliciting from the board its feedback, any suggestions or comments you might have, as well as an indication of whether or not you are concerned with the nature of the changes and that they would somehow deviate from your original approval. So we respectfully put those two plans in front of you to obtain that feedback, to obtain your comments, and we appreciate any insights or directions that you might be able to provide to us at this time.
I only have one comment, Mr. Eglima, and that is the resolution said there would be no connection to the main residence. Now, I got 4 drawings here, so I'm not sure which is which, but I will say that the last 2, the door into the main residence is gone. It's closed up. All right. And there's one that everything is outlined in red. And that one still has that door. And that connection is a direct violation to the resolution. So as a way of a comment, how you lay out the interior is really no concern, I think, of the boards. The only binding thing is you can't change the outside. I see you moved a couple of windows around. But I would assume the building department's going to make sure you match the exterior and get rid of the connecting door, and the rest of it is up to you. That's my comment.
Any other board members?
Yeah, I mean, I would likewise agree with Gary. As long as they're not changing, what was in the resolution, how they lay out the interior between bedrooms and living room and den, I don't have an issue with, as long as there's, no connection. So.
Okay. I'm looking at the revised floor plan. I believe this was the first one that was submitted. And this is the plan that bears the name Alchemy Construction, I believe. Is that the one you have in front of you?
Alchemy Construction has the doorway to the main residence closed up.
Right.
And that the rest of it is up to you. You have an entrance and an exit, or an exit and an exit, whatever. But there's 2, which I believe is required by the building code. But that's really not our determination. That's the building department. But I believe rental issues have to have those. Beyond that, it's fine.
Well, my understanding, the plan that says alternate plan number 2, which is the one that bears the name of any architect or contractor, I don't believe that shows a connection between the apartment unit and the main dwelling. It may be, I would ask for Dr. Moraviev if you have the ability to shed light on that. That would be helpful.
Yeah, that, if I may speak.
Yes, please.
Okay, both plans have that doorway closed off. The plan that has a lot of red on in ink and drawing, that was originally the approved plan, actually. And from that, the resolution came not to allow that entry to that. So both of these plans are improved upon based on the resolution because they don't allow the entry into the house.
That's fine. I just, it was hard to tell. We had 4 drawings. They weren't ranked in yes, no, or maybe. So the red one goes away. I think the other 3 drawings have the opening closed.
That's correct. It's my understanding that all of the alternate plans, as well as the original one, contemplated that there would be a closure of an existing connection between the main house and the office suite. Is that your understanding, Dr. Moraviev?
Yes.
Okay. I just want to make sure I'm not misstating something.
No.
Mr. Glima, is there anything else you would need from us, assuming there are no more comments by the board?
No, that's the extent of our inquiry. We respectfully request that you provide us with the ability to submit either one of the alternate plans to the construction officials of the municipality. If there are any questions that arise as far as compliance, we want to make sure that we're not going to stimulate some further review. That's the point of this discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I think, getting back to Gary and Greg, which is if the revised plans complied with the resolution that was approved, which it seems they do, then right, you don't need us to do anything else, and you can submit them to the building department for permits.
Very good. I appreciate that. And just, I don't know whether it was lost in any of the communications, but I did provide a copy of the deed that my clients filed with respect to the property in accordance with the requirements of the resolution of approval that essentially relinquished the rights to use the former office suite as a professional office.
All right, great.
File.
Do you have a copy of that, Ms. Wonder Jim?
I do, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, that's basically it. I really appreciate you taking the time to discuss this tonight. I apologize to any other applicants that we might have held up with this discussion, but we felt that in an abundance of caution, it would make sense to give you a view of what we're planning to do at the site so that we don't deal with any surprises in the future. And we certainly want to be disclosing as fully as possible our intentions to the board as well as the construction officials.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Have a good
and
evening.
have a great evening.
All right. So
thank you.
Next, we're going to hear Sullivan. So Jane, who do we need for that?
Yes,
Roger
we need-
and the Sullivans?
Yeah, John Sullivan and Roger Schlicht.
All right. Good night. I think I'm.
Yep. And Diana as well, right?
I guess we don't need
Hi,
that
guys.
for resolutions, right?
No.
Okay, cool.
All right. Thanks. Good night, guys.
All right.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you. Good night.
All right, so who am I bringing in?
John Sullivan and Roger Schlicht.
All right.
Aren't you leaving, Jane? Diane?
Diane,
Yep. She's able to accuse herself. Hi. Good evening.
Hi, everybody.
Let me announce it, and then we will get started. So this is the application of John and Meredith Sullivan. It's an application to permit the construction of a two-story addition with a side and front porch, which would result in a front yard setback of 40.5 feet to the porch and 37.5 feet to the steps, where 45 feet is required. Total coverage by above grade structures of 23.6%, where 20% is permitted, and coverage by above grade structures within 140 feet of the front lot line of 24.6%, where 20% is required at 409 Colonial Road, block 3605, lot 21 in an R2 zone. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
I thank you for, kind of letting us jump this application, but we had two board members, Diana Rule and Isaac Lebo, who have to recuse themselves. So I wanted them on that. So then this way we excuse them for the evening. They're done since this is the last application. So why don't we get started with just having you sworn in? So if you could please raise your right hand. Yep. All right, great. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Yes, I do.
And for the Sullivans, if you can just give us your names and the address.
Sure. John Sullivan, 409 Colonial Road.
And Meredith Sullivan, 409 Colonial Road.
And Roger, obviously you've been before the board many times, and nothing has changed with your licensure since the last time we've spoken, and you're eligible to provide testimony this evening?
Correct.
All right, might as well get started.
The Sullivans would like to make an opening statement, and then I'll take you through the application.
So, hello, thank you to the board for your time tonight. We moved to Ridgewood about 11 years ago. We originally lived up on Fairway Road. We love the neighborhood in Somerville so much. We moved right down the road to 409 Colonial. We have 4 young children. The reason for the original move was we grew out of a very small house up on Fairway. We love our road. We love our neighborhood. The reason why we selected this house is because of the neighborhood and its connection to the community, the walkability to all of the schools, to the high school, the band shell. And I know, we worked really hard with Roger to get these plans to maximize the space of the property that we're on. And we know that we're asking for some variances as it relates to some of the porches. The porches in particular, and the front porch is, to us, the quintessential Ridgewood, keeps us connected with the community, gives it really great curb appeal, allows us to sit out and listen to the band shell or hear the high school football games. We're very involved in sports here in the community. That side porch is really an extension of our living space with our kids who are all here and young and active in the neighborhood. And, our house is sort of the community house as it relates to a gathering place for a lot of the kids, and really helps us to, stay sane when we're all kind of, whether it's in the current environment with COVID and, outdoor living and, an extension of that, or even post-COVID. So I'll let Roger speak for the plans we put together.
All right, great. Thank you. Roger, are you going to share the screen?
Yes, please, Dylan, if I can.
Yeah, you should be good.
Can you see this? The plan?
Yes.
Okay, great. So we have an existing single-family residence with a detached garage. It's an interior lot. I'd like to take you through the proposed improvements on the floor plans, and then the elevations, and then I'll walk you through the existing zoning and the proposed variances. So on drawing V2, we're basically recycling a lot of the interior space that exists, and the only proposed expansion of the first floor is this mudroom here that's behind the existing living room and sunroom. So it would be, wouldn't be seen from the street, and then a set of steps to go out to the driveway, which is where the everyday coming and going would take place versus the front door. Otherwise, it's the existing footprint of the house. The second floor as well, we're recycling some space and proposing an addition off the rear and off the left side. And then this master bedroom and laundry room would actually cantilever out or be supported by one of the proposed porches that we'll speak to. But I guess one point I'd like to make is the house itself, both the first and second floor and these steps are compliant. They comply to all the setbacks. They're either equal to or greater. The gross building area that we propose is 30.4, while 32 is allowed. So we're below the maximum gross building area. The square footage that we propose is 3,196, while 3,360 is allowed. So the house itself doesn't really require variances in and of itself. The other two proposed improvements on the first floor is a front porch, which you can see here, which goes across the main body of the house and has a symmetrical set of steps. And we recentered the door. Right now, the front door is to the left. It's very asymmetrical, kind of like falls off the end of the house. So we've repositioned the foyer and all the spaces inside so you walk in the center of the house. So this porch, as John has mentioned, is really, a traditional Ridgewood front porch where you put some chairs along the front and, you just go out and sit and the kids play in the street and they connect themselves to the neighbors. So that's the second portion of the first floor addition. The third and last is a side porch, which again is proposed to be behind the existing sunroom and living room. And it has a couple of functions. One is it's kind of an expansion of the family room. So, when they have, every kid has one or two friends over and there's 12 people there, and it's fair weather and they play in the backyard. I don't know if anybody visited the site, but there's an ice skating rink in the backyard. There's a lot of kids coming and going. So this is kind of an area that they can go out and just kind of either fair weather or not, just if it's covered, they can use it as kind of an expansion space of the living space. So it is an open porch. Both of these are open porches. This one would support the master bedroom, which is this dashed line here. So this part of the porch is compliant. It's this L section and then the front porch. So that's the footprint that causes the variance. Again, all of the elements that we're suggesting meet all setbacks, and the height is not a problem. The gross building area is not a problem. So that's the plans. Take you through the elevations. So this is the front porch. It's basically centered on the main body of the house with a set of steps that go to a front door that's now centered versus being on the left. So it's an open structure, traditional kind of colonial detailing with columns and crown moldings and pediments and brick piers and lattice screens underneath. So it's trying to be very kind of historically sensitive. That's the existing house behind. So this is the side elevation. This is the porch itself facing the street. And this is the side porch, which is on the left side, the driveway side of the property. So this entry point here with the pediment and the stairs, this complies in regards to setback and lot coverage. It's basically this sliver that extends out beyond the master bedroom, which is above, and then extends, you can see in the rear, extends into the backyard a few feet. So it's this side and this rear of the porch, and then this is the opposite elevation. So in regards to the site plan, the first variance that we require is the distance from the property line, the front property line to the porch. We're proposing 40.5 feet, which in most properties would be greater than the minimal 40 feet. But due to the fact that Colonial Road is 40 feet wide, they increase our front yard setback requirement by 5 feet. So you can see the dashed line here, which represents the required setback. So about 50% of the porch is in front of that 45-foot setback line. The steps themselves are at 37.5. The existing steps of the house we're proposing to put the front porch almost where the existing steps are of the house. And then we line up on either side. So we have proper side yard setback. But basically it's, 4.5 feet of encroachment of the porch that jumps over the front yard setback line. Our hardship here would be the lack of depth in the road itself. So it would be a C1A and a C1C variance, C1A being the lack of depth off the street, and the C1C being an existing legal structure situated in a way that it's too close to the street with the porch. The other two variances, as we mentioned, is for lot coverage. And those variances, I'm gonna get you guys out of there we go. So the lot coverage, we're proposing over the whole lot 23.6%, and over the 140 feet 24.6%, because the majority of the coverage is in front of the 140 foot. About 2/3 of the garage is in front of the 140 foot. So just this small portion is beyond the 140 foot line. So our request here for the lot coverage variance would fall under a flexible C variance. As I mentioned and John mentioned, we feel the introduction of the front porch is a traditional Ridgewood architectural element and feature which would add and benefit to the public and the streetscape. I did just very close to this particular property, up and down Fairway, Colonial, and Overbrook, and there are porches all over all the streets. These are on Colonial, these particular homes. This one's across the street. This one's on the same side of the street. So this is a very common architectural element, especially in these three streets, this particular neighborhood. So, this would be very similar to what our porch is proposing. It's not as high as this, but with a pediment and some columns and some piers. But, I'm sure all you know that, porches are a very common architectural element in this area. So it would be in addition to these 16 porches that are within a walk distance from the Sullivan's house. Couple of other comments regarding the variances is the proposed structures are open, which I feel, in my opinion, will minimize any impact of the proposed coverages, and we'll agree not to ever enclose them if that's something that the board would seek. And as I mentioned earlier, the side porch is really behind the house. This is the sunroom here. Yeah, you'll see it when you look down the driveway, but it's actually set in from the sunroom a couple of feet. And then, the master bedroom is set in even more. So I think the impact of the open porch being behind the existing structure and also set in would also minimize any impact. So for those reasons, I feel the benefits of the porches outweigh any negative impact. And we'd be glad to, hear the board's comments and kind of opinion of what they feel about the application. And we'd be glad to answer any questions.
Great. Thank you, Roger. Board members, questions?
I got a couple. The lot itself is conforming. The existing structure as built is actually 50 feet back according to your plan, which would mean then that it had 5 feet to spare, even with the 45 feet. And we see a lot of drawings go by, Roger, and we've seen porches from 4 to 8, but this is a very nice full 9. I think it's a little rich. The other thing is, it's you're looking at a 3% overage, if you will, but that's about 350 square feet, give or take. So it's, you've got 11,250 square foot lot. And so 3 points adds up. And you're looking at 3 and 4, right? If I listen to you properly?
3.6 and 4.6, yes.
And
We've
well, I
discussed-
think the other question I have is what's the fireplace?
That is a fireplace that would be used on the porch. So we've discussed, and we're here to hear the board's comments. We've discussed this 9-foot dimension, Gary, that you're speaking of, and we're open to bringing that back in. Meredith and John and I have discussed like a 3/4 porch, or something that wasn't symmetrical, and their desire is to keep the symmetry, and if they if you felt that the porch had to be reduced in depth, they're open to that discussion.
Well, I kind of agree with them, and looking at your drawing, Roger, that if we're going to use the porch as an enhancement to the streetscape, in addition to its value to the homeowner, I think that it should be as you've drawn it in terms of its length, across the front of the house. And I think that's something else would just look like a patch.
Yeah, it would be a piece.
All right, so I agree there, but I do think you could pull it back a little bit. And I think, I realize 4 kids can be pretty rambunctious. Fortunately, I don't have any kids because I'm too old. But in any case, I would think you might be able to take a little bit out of that back deck. Just you've got almost an 8-foot wide set of stairs going down there in the back. Off the back porch. And I think that could be a little bit less again, just because it's difficult to say, I don't see an undersized lot. It's not a irregular lot. It's a tough one. So those are my thoughts, and I'll leave it to the rest of the board to have whatever they want.
Yeah, I agree that this set of steps back here could be reduced because the existing chimney extends out quite a bit. So like I could cut these off right here and maybe plant some bushes or something, because you're not going to want to walk right into the side of the chimney. But it's
I would hope not. Although 4 kids running down the stairs at the same time, somebody's going to run his head in.
So that no, I think we can take a look at both of those.
Yeah, Roger, I'm with Gary when it comes to that. I mean, you definitely have a, conforming lot, and it's oversized when it comes to sort of both the lot depth and the area, right? And so I think that the ask of the 3.6 and the 4.6 is just a little over, when you look at it. So if you guys can, look at a way to reduce both the front porch and the side porch and steps to bring it in to get it a little bit closer to conforming to lot coverage and 140. That would be my suggestion.
Good.
Jonathan, do you have any?
Yes, I do. I'm on the same track as the prior two members. Roger, I'm looking at the photographs that we received here, and although I see similar design, front, back, and side, I'm wondering if you could comment on whether this house as it is was built that way, or if you can see where there were modifications to the original house, because we didn't see anything from our board secretary that suggested there were any applications to make this house the way it is. So can you see whether it was built the way it is, or were there additions that you could see architecturally to the original house?
I think the back was probably an addition, just by the detailing. And
Now the back, you mean that that family room sticking out there?
Yeah, the family room and the master bedroom above.
Okay.
I think the front of the house with the sunroom on the left was original. The back does comply. So the addition, if it was, an addition, does have proper setbacks and does comply to coverage and gross building area. And we've kept the house within gross building area and lot coverage and height and setbacks. So, the house itself, if it was, filed properly or not, complies.
I understand. Okay. I appreciate that. But as was previously stated, this lot doesn't really have any difficulties at all. The street being only 40 feet wide does have a bit of an effect on the front. And that's another concern I have. A 9-foot porch is a nice thing to have. It's a wish list item. I don't see that the size of it can be explained away by the more narrow street. So that's a bit more than I would approve as well. But I am going back to the lot coverage. This house is at some 16%, and that gives you 3% more, which adds overall about a 20% increase, but you're asking for double that. So overall, you want to increase the lot coverage here, notwithstanding the gross building area being compliant, by a fair amount, some 35% overall. I don't see anything driving the need to make that change. I think you did a good job accommodating what the applicant needs here, but I don't see anything driving a zoning variance that would permit you going beyond lot coverage in either category, maximum or within the 140 feet. I see ways that you could accommodate that and stay within the guidelines, particularly since this property doesn't really have any difficulties at all. So as it is, I would not approve it, and I would suggest you be more conservative from both the porch and the overall lot coverage. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. And Dan, do you have any questions or comments for the applicant?
No, nothing additional to the comments already made. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. So I'll give you mine, which is I think the front. I love the front porch. It's great. I wouldn't want to see you. Well, put it this way. I agree that it should span the proposed width. You don't want to chop it in half or take a quarter off just to try to get a variance. It looks great as drawn. It's a conforming lot, so it does present some challenges. But overall, I think you could probably nip and tuck here and there and get something that at least I would be okay with. So having said that, and having heard the concerns and issues of the board, we will open it up to the public, but perhaps you may want to think about, some talking to your client and maybe revising the plans. So why don't we open it up? Oh, Bruce is back.
I have been back.
You have been back. All right. So we're going to open it up to members of the public to ask questions at this time. You have a question, please raise your hand. Dylan will let you in. And
I'm not showing any.
Okay. So Roger, can I assume that you're going to want to come back?
Yeah, I do believe there are some neighbors that would like to speak. They've been waiting.
Yeah, so the reason I asked that is because we usually don't want to take comments, like, so we opened it up for questions, but because if you're going to come back with the revised plans, the comments that we would hear this evening are on plans that would be revised. So we'd rather hold off on comments until we have what we're actually going to vote on before us.
Understood.
All right.
So we'd like to be carried so we can discuss the board's comments and respond.
What do we
So,
have, Jen?
well, unless you could get something in by the end of this week, we'd have to carry it to April 27.
I don't have a problem with getting things done by Friday. To you, Jane, right?
Okay, all right, so then we can carry it to March 23rd.
Okay with you? John?
Yeah, we can expedite.
All right, great. So I'm sorry, Jane, what was the date?
March 23rd.
All right, so carried to March 23rd. Actually, before I do that, just finally, one last chance so that Roger and the applicants could hear. Is there anything else that any board member would like them to go away with this evening before they revise the plans and come back? All right, good. Just wanted to make sure. Carried to March 23rd, 7:30 p.m. via Zoom, no further notice required.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. I'm sorry, Bruce, when did you get back? Were you here for that whole application?
Yeah, I came in when Roger just started, about 5 to 9.
Okay, so we did Moraviev. We just had a discussion. Nothing was, we didn't have to vote or anything like that.
So Bruce, you don't need my notes or anything? You're good with
I
that?
was certainly, I'm looking forward to your notes.
And I guess the only thing left is just pull up the agenda.
Resolutions.
Yeah, it's just the resolutions, right?
How did the 109 Hope Street result? I left before the results.
That was a unanimous approval.
Okay, I was going there, but I didn't hear it said. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
And Blake?
Same.
That's approval as well.
Same,
Okay.
unanimous.
That one I'll
Carrie
need some.
and Diana.
That one I'll need some notes on because that's what I missed.
Actually, Hope Street wasn't unanimous,
Oh, I'm sorry, Gary, right?
right?
All right. Sorry.
I'll send the voting logs.
Yep.
Jane, just quick question. Are we meeting on the 30th or no?
We're meeting on the 30th. That's going to be the Roos application and only the Roos application.
Ooh, I gotta find all that paper.
Well, now it's
No, it's
all new.
going to be a whole new application.
Ah, so we get a new pile.
Anything that you have, you are to disregard. You are not to allude to it in any manner whatsoever.
Okay.
If you were to say, I remember what you said the last time, at that point, you'd be disqualified from voting. So we don't want that to happen.
All right, wow. All right, Jane, you wanna,
Resolutions?
yeah, do resolutions?
All right, so the first one I have here is the Lowry Residence, 125 Doremus Ave. Approval. Chairman Allegra,
Yes.
Chairman Eggers,
Yes.
John Pepetro,
Yes,
Isaac Lebo. Oh, he left. Okay.
Yep, Isaac and Diana are gone.
Matthew Bandel,
Yes.
Dan Perlman.
Yes.
Okay, and then Rosenholz Residence, 450 Summit Street, with an approval. Chairman Allegra,
Yes.
Karen Eggers,
Yes.
John Pepetro,
yes,
Matthew Vandel,
Yes.
Dan Perlman.
Yes.
The DeAngelis and Carg residents to 329 Cantrell Road. Labor,
Yes.
Greg Brown,
Yes.
John Pepitro. John Pepitro,
Oh, I'm sorry, Jane, I didn't hear you clearly. Yes, of course.
Matthew Bandel,
Yes.
Dan Perlman,
Yes.
and I thought there was just a minute. There's one more. And the Pacelli residents, 435 Berkshire Road. Chairman Allegra,
Yes.
John Pepitro,
Yes.
Matthew Bandel.
Yes.
That's it.
All right, that's it. So got another early one this evening. So motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.
Good night.
Good evening.
Hey.
Thanks, Bruce. Thanks, Dylan.
Take care.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Thanks, Dylan.